Hello everyone, my name is Jackie and today I'm talking to you about all the books I read in November. So the first book I finished in November is Black Enough, Stories of Being Young and Black in America, edited by E.B. Savoy, which is an anthology of short stories by a lot of different black authors to a lot of different themes. Some of those I really enjoyed, some of those weren't quite my cup of tea. But overall I really like this. There are a lot of different authors in there who I've read from before or I really want to read from after reading this, and yeah, I gave this 3 stars. So the next book I finished is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I listened to the audiobook for this, but I lent my physical copy to a friend, so I don't have it on me at the moment. And Crown of Midnight is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. Throne of Glass is about Selena Sadorfian, who is an assassin. And she got caught and put into prison, but one day she gets the chance to earn her freedom by winning a contest to become the King's Champion. And yeah, the first book tells the story of this contest, and yeah, it's one of my absolute favorite series of all time. I really love it. And I really wanted to reread it this year, so I decided to listen to the audiobook for those, and I just enjoy it so much. Sadly, the second book is, I think, my least favorite in the series. You get to know the characters a little bit better, which is great and all, but it's just, for me, it just feels a bit like a filler book. Like, it hasn't quite as much going on as the first book or the third and everything after that has. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I still enjoy it a lot. I really like the characters and the world, but it's just not quite as good as the others in my opinion, so I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. And this is about Felix, who is a trans boy. And one day he gets some transphobic messages in school, and someone posts pictures of him before his transition and also posts his dead name. So he has to figure out who did this. And yeah, I just absolutely adore this book. I fell in love with it immediately. I adore Felix, and his best friend is just so great. It surprised me a bit, the book, because there was this character I just couldn't anticipate where this was going. It was really great. So yeah, I really loved this book and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read is This Winter by Alice Oseman. This is a short novella to her book Solitaire, and it's told in 3 parts from Tori, Charlie and Oliver, the 3 siblings. And it's Christmas time and they have the whole family over, but there are some problems that arise that they have to deal with. I don't know how to talk about this really short book without spoiling you, so I'm going to stop here. But I adore Alice Oseman's books. I adore Charlie, who is one of the main characters from her Heartstopper comics. So yeah, 5 stars. The next book I read on my Kindle, and it's Thought of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is about a girl named Carew who lives in Prague, and no one knows that her family are actually monsters or chimera, and she can go to them through a door that brings her in some kind of other dimension. But one day all the doors close and Carew tries to find a way back to her family. And Laini Taylor's books are always such magical places. Prague alone is described very magically, I would say, in her books. But then this other dimension on top of that, and this chimera, and I love the friendships in there, and yeah, it's just a really amazing book. I'm really intrigued to see what will happen next with the love interest, because that ending. But yeah, I really enjoyed the book and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I listened to the audiobook for Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, and that's the part where her Throne of Glass series takes off for me. This book has a completely different feel to it than the first 2 books do, which is the reason why a lot of people start to dislike the series after the 3rd book. while I adore them even more. So I can't really give you a synopsis for this one. I just love this book so much. I love the new characters we get to know here and how the relationships between those we already know changes. It's so amazing. I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read is Battle Mage by Peter A. Flannery. This is actually the second half of the book, because in the German editions they were it was divided into 2 parts, into 2 books. So this is the second part, and yeah, it's about a kingdom who is at war with, basically who is at war with demons, and the only people who can fight those demons are the battle mages, and they are dragons. Our main character is Falco Dante, and his father was a battle mage, and his dragon became black. And the moment the dragons become black, they go insane and start killing people. So, because of the close link between his father and the dragon, his father got mad too, and they were both killed. And he was raised by a friend of his father's. And he was a very sickly child, but then their village gets attacked and the demons come closer and they have to flee, and a lot is happening, a lot is going on. I can't really tell you more without spoiling the book, so I should have probably reread the first one before going into this one, because I couldn't really remember that much from the first one anymore when I started it. It's also a lot. I mean, this book is so thick and it's actually only half the book it was originally, so it's a lot going on in here. And yeah, I still enjoyed it, but was a bit confused from time to time, so I gave it 3 stars. Next book I read is The Resurrectionist, The Lost Work of Dr. Spencer Black by E.B. Hatzberg. And this is a fictional biography of this doctor who tries to prove that mythical creatures have at one point been a part of human evolution. And it's really creepy, because he actually tries to make those mythical creatures. So that part is really creepy. And the second part of the book is the book Dr. Black published about this mythical creature, where you can see the anatomy of those. So that was really fascinating. So yeah, it was a lot more creepy than I anticipated. I enjoyed the anatomical drawings, but yeah, I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read is Stormsong by C.L. Polk. This is once again the German edition, and it's the second book to Witchmart. And in the sequel we follow the sister who is Grace, and she has to save her kingdom because there are snowstorms coming, and she's one of the only people, magicians, who can help save the kingdom before they're buried under snow. It doesn't really sound that interesting when I say it like that, but it really is. I love the magic system. It's a fictional place, but it very much reminds me of Victorian England. I really adore the characters. We get to see more of Miles, who was the main character in the first book, and yeah, it's just really great. I also adore the love interest in this book. I'm not entirely sure if there will be a third one. There could be. There doesn't necessarily has to be one. So I really hope there will be another one. And I gave it 4 stars. And the last book I finished in November is the audiobook of Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Once again, absolutely adored it, loved it. This is book number 4. In the Throne of Glass series, we get to see more of the characters we already love. We get to meet some new characters. We learn more about their pasts. It's just amazing. I love it. I gave it 5 stars. Alright, so those were all the books I read in November. If you've read any of those and like to talk about them, chat to me down in the comments. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!